This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
EVO. This series contains adult language and depictions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. Long before the first human eyes gazed upon the land that would become Wisconsin, the forces of nature were at work, shaping the landscape that would define this corner of North America. As discussed in the last episode, massive glaciers attached to the Laurentide ice sheet, over 2 miles thick, crept across the land, carving out valleys, depositing hills, and leaving behind a legacy of lakes and streams that would become the defining feature of the region. As that ice sheet retreated some 12,000 years ago, it left in its wake a land primed for rebirth. So by the time that Jean Nicolet arrived in 1634, the land was home to several Native American tribes. And we know that for over a century, the fur trade dominated the European presence in Wisconsin. Then control of the region passed from France to Great Britain following the French and Indian War, and then to the newly formed United States after the American Revolution. And as the 19th century dawned, a new wave of change swept across Wisconsin. American settlers were drawn by the promise of cheap, fertile land and abundant resources, and people began to pour into the territory. And speaking of territory, the Wisconsin Territory officially was established in 1836, and just 12 years later, in 1848, Wisconsin achieved statehood, becoming the 30th state in the Union. And man, the mid-19th century saw Wisconsin transformed. Milwaukee, strategically located right on the shores of Lake Michigan, grew into a major port and industrial center. The lumber industry boomed in the northern forests, with logging camps and sawmills springing up along rivers and lake shores. Farmers, many of them immigrants from Germany, Scandinavia, and other parts of Europe, turned the fertile soils of southern and central Wisconsin into a patchwork of extraordinarily productive fields. And as the century progressed, Wisconsin found itself at the forefront of progressive politics. The state became a laboratory for social and political reform under the leadership of Governor Robert La Follette Sr. The, quote, Wisconsin idea, the principle that university research should be applied to solve state problems, emerged during this period, cementing the bond between the state and its flagship university in Madison. And in the heart of Wisconsin's largest city, Milwaukee, where the waters of Lake Michigan lap against the shores of that city built on beer and industry, stands a grand old dame of hospitality. The Pfister Hotel, with its Romanesque revival architecture and Gilded Age opulence, has been a fixture of the city's skyline since 1893. But to tell the story of the Pfister, one must look beyond its ornate facade and luxurious interiors. For within its walls, the past and present intertwine in ways that defy explanation, and the line between the world of the living and the realm of spirits blurs like mist over the lake on a cool autumn morning. Welcome back to The Devil Within. You're listening to Milwaukee's Haunted Hotel. Long before the first stone of the Pfister was laid, the land upon which it would stand had a history. For centuries, the Potawatomi people had called the region home, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the lake and the changing seasons. They believed in a world where spirits walked alongside the living. Little did they know that the grand structure that would one day rise on their ancestral lands would become a nexus for such beliefs, a place where the past refused to fade quietly into history. The story of the Pfister begins with a man named Guido Pfister, a German immigrant who made his fortune in the tanning industry. In fact, by the year 1890, a year after the death of Pfister, the tanning company he founded would become the largest in the world. But Guido had a vision beyond his leather goods empire, and that vision was to build a hotel that would rival the grandest establishments in New York and Chicago, a palace of luxury that would put Milwaukee on the map. His project was well underway when he died in 1889, but he left his adult son, Charles, to carry the torch, and Charles would prove to be just as passionate and determined as his father. When Charles Pfister took up his father's mantle, he poured not just money, but his heart and soul into the project. The hotel that rose on the corner of Wisconsin and Jefferson was a marvel of its time. Its walls were adorned with priceless works of art, its floors covered in the finest carpets. The grand staircase, with its ornate ironwork, seemed to ascend not just to the upper floors, but to a realm of elegance and refinement beyond the reach of ordinary mortals. When the Pfister opened its doors in 1893, it was hailed as the Grand Hotel of the West. Presidents and captains of industry walked its halls. Celebrities graced its ballrooms. But from the very beginning, there were whispers of something else, something that couldn't be explained by the rational mind of the industrial age. The first reports were subtle. A guest would wake in the night, certain they had heard footsteps in their room, only to find themselves alone. A maid would swear she saw a figure in 19th century dress disappear around a corner, only to find an empty hallway. These incidents were dismissed, attributed to the overactive imaginations of those overwhelmed by the hotel's grandeur. But as the years passed, the stories not only persisted, they grew. The most famous, maybe, is that of Charles Pfister himself. Though he died in 1927, many believe his spirit never left the hotel he loved so dearly. Guests and staff alike have reported seeing a distinguished gentleman in Victorian attire watching over the lobby from the grand staircase. He appears for a moment, they say, nods his approval, and then vanishes like smoke. The Pfister's history, like that of any grand hotel, is a story that's woven from thousands of individual stories. Each guest who has passed through its doors has contributed to that story. And it seems that some of them refuse to surrender to the turning of the page. Take, for instance, the story of the woman in blue. In the 1930s, a young bride stayed at the Pfister on her honeymoon. Her husband, a wealthy industrialist, had gifted her a stunning sapphire necklace to mark the occasion. But tragedy struck. The bride fell sick suddenly and died in her suite. Her grieving husband left the hotel, but the necklace was never found. To this day, guests occasionally report seeing a young woman in a blue dress wandering the halls, her hand at her throat as if searching for something lost. Then there's the tale of the elevator that seems to have a mind of its own. Staff members speak in hushed tones of the service elevator that sometimes travels to floors unbidden, its doors opening to reveal empty corridors. Some say it's the spirit of an old bellhop, still faithfully performing his duties decades after his death. The Pfister's ballroom, a place of celebration and joy, has its own spectral residents. During renovations in the 1970s, workers reported hearing music and laughter when the room was empty. Some even claimed to have seen ghostly couples waltzing across the floor, their forms shimmering like a desert mirage before disappearing.
Ah yes, the magnificent Trolley Sourbright Crawler, also known as Trollicus brightolus. The worm's captivating neon colour makes it an easy, gummy prey.
Trolley!
It's a surprisingly sour, invitingly chewy, staggeringly snackable species unlike anything else found on this planet.
Eat me!
Delicious. Visit Trolley.com to shop now.
Trolley, eat me!
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting. Go to your happy place for a happy price with Priceline's Black Friday sale. Save now and travel later with our best deals of the year.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
The number one selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
As the 20th century progressed, the Pfister faced challenges. The Great Depression caused the hotel to struggle mightily. World War II brought a different kind of activity, with the hotel serving as temporary housing for soldiers and nurses. Each of these periods left its mark, not just on the hotel's books, but on its very essence. In the 1960s, when many of the grand hotels were facing the wrecking ball, the Pfister's future hung in the balance. But fate, or maybe something more supernatural, intervened. The hotel was purchased by Ben Marcus, a businessman who brought with him a vision for preserving the Pfister's legacy while modernizing its amenities. Under Marcus's stewardship, the Pfister not only survived, but thrived, entering what was understood to be a new golden age. Yet even as the hotel embraced the modern world, its connection to the past seemed to grow even stronger. The stories of supernatural occurrences didn't diminish. If anything, they became more pronounced. It was as if the spirits of the Pfister, grateful for its preservation, had decided to make their presence known more boldly. In the 1990s, the Pfister became known in an unexpected quarter: professional sports. Baseball teams staying at the hotel during away games in Milwaukee began to report strange occurrences. Players spoke of objects moving on their own, of feeling watched in their rooms. Some refused to stay at the Pfister, preferring less luxurious accommodations to a night spent in the company of unseen presences. One player, a skeptic who had scoffed at his teammates' fears, had an experience that changed his mind. He awoke in the middle of the night to find his bathtub filling with water on its own. As he watched, completely frozen in disbelief, the faucet turned itself off. He checked out immediately, leaving behind a story that would become legend in clubhouses across the country. The Pfister's reputation as a haunted hotel has paradoxically only added to its allure. In an age where many seek experiences beyond the ordinary, the possibility of encountering a spirit from another time has become a draw for many guests. The hotel has embraced this aspect of its identity, offering ghost tours and even a ghost writer in residence, tasked with capturing the supernatural essence of the place. But to focus solely on the Pfister's ghostly reputation would be to do it a disservice, because for every tale of spectral encounters, there are thousands of stories of more earthly delights. The hotel has been the site of countless weddings, business deals, celebrations. Its restaurants have served meals that linger in memory long after the plates are cleared. Its spa has soothed the aches and cares of generations of guests. The Pfister is, at its heart, a place where history is not just preserved, but it's lived. The artwork that adorns its walls, much of it dating back to the hotel's earliest days, is not mere decoration, but a living gallery. The antique furniture in the lobby isn't there for show. It's used and loved by guests every day. Even the elevators, with their brass fittings and analog indicators, are a working link to a previous bygone era. This seamless blending of past and present is probably what gives the Pfister its unique energy. It's a place where you can easily imagine slipping through time, where the boundaries between then and now, between the mundane and the extraordinary, seem permeable. Consider the story of Sarah, a young woman who stayed at the Pfister in 2018. She'd come to Milwaukee for a job interview, nervous and a little unsure of herself. And as she stood in the lobby, taking in the grandeur of her surroundings, she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. She turned, expecting to see a staff member, but found no one there. Yet the touch had left her with a sense of calm and infused her with a quiet confidence. She aced her interview, got the job. To this day, she believes that some benevolent spirit of the Pfister had given her just a little reassuring hand on the shoulder. Or the case of the wedding ring. In 2005, a distraught bride realized she had lost her grandmother's ring somewhere in the hotel on the morning of her wedding. The staff searched high and low, but couldn't find it. As the ceremony approached, the bride returned to her room in tears. And there, on her pillow, sat the ring. No one had entered the room, and to this day, no explanation has been found. Was it the work of a ghostly Good Samaritan, or simply a miracle of the Pfister? The hotel's employees, those who spend their days and nights within its walls, have perhaps the most intimate relationship with the Pfister's otherworldly aspects. Many have stories they share only reluctantly, aware of how they might sound to skeptical ears. There's the night manager who swears he once saw Charles Pfister himself step out of his portrait in the lobby, straighten a different painting that was hanging crookedly, then return to his two-dimensional state. Or the housekeeper who claims to have had a full conversation with a woman dressed in full 1920s flapper girl attire, only to learn later that no guest matching that description was registered. Yet these employees, far from being frightened by these experiences, speak of them with a mixture of awe and affection. The spirits of the Pfister, they say, are not malevolent. They're simply part of the hotel, as much as the bricks and mortar. They're guardians of its history, ensuring that the essence of the place is preserved, even as the world around it changes. As the Pfister moves into its second century, it faces new challenges. The hospitality industry is changing rapidly, with guests expecting modern amenities alongside historic charm. The very concept of luxury has evolved. Yet the Pfister adapts, as it always has. Wi-Fi coexists with wainscoting. Flat-screen TVs are hidden behind antique armoires. The hotel embraces the future while keeping a firm grip on its past. And what of the ghosts? In an age of skepticism and science, you can expect the supernatural stories to fade away. But still, they persist, evolving with the times. Guests now report capturing orbs and strange mists in digital photographs. And maybe you're aware of the EVP enthusiasts out there, people who capture electronic voice phenomena. There are claims that many spectral voices have been recorded in the hotel's corridors. The Pfister's ghosts, it seems, are as adaptable as the hotel itself. But maybe the true magic of the Pfister lies not in its ghostly residence, but in its ability to transport guests to another time. To step into the Pfister is to step into a world where craftsmanship and attention to detail reign supreme, where the pace of life slows just enough to allow for appreciation of beauty and history. As night falls over Milwaukee and the lights of the Pfister illuminate its facade, you can almost feel the weight of history settling over the building like a comfortable blanket. Inside, guests from around the world mingle in the lobby, their modern attire a stark contrast to the Victorian splendor of their surroundings. In the bar, a businessman closes a deal over cocktails, while in a suite upstairs, a bride prepares for her wedding day. And maybe, just maybe, the spirit of Charles Pfister watches over it all, a proud smile on his translucent face. The Pfister Hotel is more than just a place to rest your head for the night. It's a living, breathing piece of history, a bridge between worlds, both seen and unseen. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the special atmosphere that permeates every corner of this grand old hotel. It's a place where every creak of a floorboard, every shadow in a mirror, every unexplained draft of wind carries with it the whisper of stories untold. In the end, the Pfister's greatest haunting may not be of the supernatural kind at all, but rather it's the way it haunts the memories of those who pass through its doors. Long after they've checked out and returned to their everyday lives, guests find themselves remembering the grandeur, the service, the sense of stepping into another world. And isn't that, after all, the truest form of magic a hotel can offer? Thanks for listening. If you know someone who you think might enjoy this episode, I would appreciate you sharing it with them. And going over to Apple Podcasts and rating and reviewing the show helps more than you could imagine. So please make sure you're following The Devil Within wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And we also have full episodes available on YouTube if that's more of your jam. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay safe out there. The Devil Within is an EVO production, recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. Written and produced by Brandon Morgan, executive produced by Danny Abelson. For The Devil Within, I'm your host, Brandon Morgan.